Hi guys, and welcome back to Friendship Knits. Thank you so much for joining our first episode in our Friendship Knits podcast.
Our first video we uploaded some weeks ago. It was like a little experiment, and we both were very overwhelmed by the feedback and just how many people watched this video. We expected that maybe, I don't know, I thought maybe 100 people would watch it, and wow, okay. We were very positively surprised.
Yes.
And are very curious how the journey will go on. And thank you so much for joining in.
Yeah, thank you so much for everyone who also commented and answered our questions we had. It's just so amazing to see how welcoming and nice the knitting community is on the internet. And it was really heartwarming. And yeah, as you said, a nice surprise. So thank you as well from me. So this episode will be structured like a very common podcast. First, we're going to tell you about the things we finished lately. Then we're going to update you on all the knitting plans we had in our last video and what we're doing right now, what we're working on.
Mm-hmm.
And then, lastly, we're just going to mention like what our next steps are. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Cool. Before we start with the actual podcast, we will talk about what we're wearing. Today, I am wearing the Typical Tank by Tiffany Lou, or Typical Bliss. Yes, it is knitted in pure silk from Knitting for Olive in the color olive. I actually modified the pattern quite heavily. I didn't want to hold two strands together and knit it as a DK weight tank top. I wanted to knit it as a fingering weight tank top. So I started off and then recognized that I had to like regrade the whole tank top, which was also kind of fun. So when you see something in the fit and think, oh, that is looks kind of weird, so maybe don't think, maybe it's not the pattern, maybe it's just me doing a weird regrading. So yes. What about you?
I'm wearing a sweater that I made by myself. I didn't use a pattern. I just made a simple raglan stitch. In the end, it was kind of stressful because I had to play yarn chicken. And so I had to like open the sleeves. Well, first I made them way too tight and then had to open them a little and take from what's that called?
From the body?
Yeah, from just like the end of the body.
The ribbing.
The ribbing, so it would fit. So it was kind of what I thought would be easier, not using a pattern. It turned out to be more stressful. But the nice thing is, it was the first thing that I actually blocked in my life, or maybe second actually, but I'll come to that later. And it was just such a nice experience because I was always so scared of blocking. I don't know why, but I just thought like so many steps you can make, not many steps, but such a big chance to actually destroy the thing you worked on for 60 hours or even more. And it just turned out to be not that complicated at all. And I just kind of put it in warm water and spread it out. And that was it. And waited until it was dry. Really simple, actually. So if you're listening and are also scared of blocking for whatever reason, just do it. You're not going to lose anything if you don't mess it up.
Did you block your knits in warm water?
It was like lukewarm water.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I was too scared to use actual hot or warm water.
I think you shouldn't.
Yeah, you shouldn't, right? Otherwise.
I always like use the coldest water possible.
Oh, you do it in cold water?
Yeah, I don't know whether that's wrong.
Me neither.
But I always do it like in a very cold water because I'm scared that it would melt in warm water. So I always think, oh, when I do it very cold, I'm on the safe side. But
good. So like to summarize, 2 things to look after. Like don't use too warm water. Don't use any soap if you're like really scared you're gonna.
I always use soap. So
oh my god!
I don't know whether
I get it. Then just Google it. You guys will be
maybe
fine.
Don't believe us.
Great knitting podcast. We're just gonna. Well.
Okay, we go on.
Yes.
Some people were asking at the last video what we were wearing. And actually we did record what we were wearing at our knitting podcast or knitting plans video, but it got kind of chaotic. But I was wearing the Barbroe Blouse from Pernille Larsen, and it is actually a finished object in today's video. Okay, so this is the Barbroe Blouse by Pernille Larsen. I decided to knit it in the merino of Knitting for Olive in the color Bordeaux. I did knit the size extra small, and I used the 3mm needle or 2.5 US. Yes, this is right. Except for the color, I used a 2.5mm needle. Yes, I'm very happy about the result. I actually had to knit it's a bottom-up construction, and I had to knit the start like 3 times because I first thought I want to do some changes, but then it didn't work up later. So I had to frog quite a lot actually, which was a bummer, but yeah. And I thought the pattern was quite good explained, but I really had some struggles at the arms. When I wanted to start it, I really did not get what she wanted to say. And I read it over and over again, and I was just so confused. And then I went over to YouTube and searched a knitting podcast actually, where someone knitted the Barbroe Blouse, and she explained there how the sleeve is worked up. She really explained it very well. And after that, I could start, and there was no problem anymore. Actually, I'm a quite tight knitter, and then I had the problem of the shoulder being quite too tight, and then I also made a tight sewing. The sleeve has to be sewn in, and it was quite tight, and then it was just so uncomfortable to wear, and then I had to frog it again and just went back I think up to here, and then the upper part I knitted in a 3.5mm needle, so I just went up a size, and now it's really comfortable to wear. I'm really glad I did that. Yes. And after blocking, the lace just is so beautiful. Really proud of that one.
It's really pretty. So my first project that I finished, I already mentioned in our fall projects video. It's the Olso Hat. I made it quite shorter than it's on the pattern because I got impatient. No, actually it was because I felt it was too big for me. It didn't look cool when it had like this extra fabric on my hat. So I frogged it, and then I got impatient and just wanted to finish it. So it looks more like a hipster hat on me, but I'm still, well, that's what you said.
Yeah.
You get the credit. It looks like a hipster hat, but I still like it. I kind of look like a snowboard girl. And the second thing, also in the same yarn, I'm just going to mention it in a short while, are these, what's it called? Mittens,
yeah.
And I didn't use a pattern. I just did a 2x2 rib, and then actually really just improvised how I'm gonna do the fingers, because I really wanted to do the small fingers because I feel like it looks just a little bit more aesthetic. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm gonna explain it because it's quite intuitive, and it's really, yeah, just.
Was it? I wouldn't know how to do that.
Should I explain? It just turned out to work, I think.
Wow, yeah,
it just
that's nice.
worked out. It's the alpaca Ull by Sadness Yarn, and I think it's a color petroleum, and they're insanely warm, so I'm gonna take it off again. But it was so much fun just to think and figure it out. So yeah, they just kind of look stupid if I'm not wearing it.
They look so funny.
Yeah, I think they look like 2 giraffes kissing if you hold them next to each other. I like it.
Yeah, but when they're on, they look very nice.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so my next project are the Ariose Socks by Lisa Schmidt. They are these almost all over lace socks on the bottom of the foot, and at the toe it's just stockinette, and here at the heel I think there was stockinette too, but I decided to do a slip stitch heel. Yes, but otherwise I really knitted to pattern. I probably shortened the foot a little bit because I have quite small feet, but yeah, I'm really happy about them. Actually, I was a little bit surprised that the pattern didn't really show off as beautiful as the pattern photos did. I don't know whether it's because of the yarn that it is quite dark, but she also used not a dark brown, but I don't know. A brown I think is quite equally dark, and it showed much more.
But do you mean like the pattern as in the laces and the cables?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know, maybe I did a mistake. That's possible too. Yeah, but they're really cute. And I actually bought the yarn to match my winter jacket, which is green as well. So I thought that would be kind of fun to then have matching socks to the winter jacket. It's not exactly the same green tone, but yeah, happy about them.
That's really nice.
Oh, and I did use a yarn from, it's called Trekking. I bought this in a to us local yarn shop at this barn. Yeah, and it's called Trekking. I don't know more about it. It's just this green, I think from a brand. Nobody knows really. I would like to add something to the Ariose Socks. It is a free pattern, which I really thought is so kind of her to give the work she put into these socks.
The next project that I've made are these socks. They're way too big because I forgot how many how many stitches I need for my size. I knitted in, I think the blue one is like kind of a silk blend, because I have a lot of scrap yarn and usually they don't have their
labels.
Their labels. They don't have them anymore because I buy them in thrift stores. I get it from people that don't knit anymore. And the white color is I'm knitting by Olive's Marzipan. I used the same tutorial. Well, I actually memorized it, but I always do it the same way. Heel flap and gusset. The reason why I knitted socks was because uni started again, and it's just sometimes hard to concentrate and so nice to have something to do in the commutes and while I like listening to a lecture, and socks are just so handy to take with you. And the best thing is, can be annoying, but whenever, I don't know how it is for you guys, but whenever I'm on the train and knitting, I can say every day someone is maybe elderly woman is talking to me, very nice and excited that young people knit. Of course, it's like the stereotype of young people being lazy, whatever, but it's so nice to have this conversation. No, but sometimes they say that. They're like, oh, you're the only young person that knits. And you're like, no, that's not true, but thanks.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying it in a nicer tone, but that's the essential of it. Anyways, that's the socks.
Nice. So I will continue with the classic rip sweater from Pernille Larsen. That is a tongue breaker. That's not, I don't know how that's called in English, but do you know it? Tongue twister?
Tongue twister, yeah.
Okay. In German, it's tongue breaker, which is kind of weird. I ordered the yarn actually to knit another sweater. I wanted to do the Era sweater by November Knits, but then the yarn came in and I was swatching and the gauge was really so far off. I knew I would never be able to do the sweater I intended to, and that is because I used a Suri alpaca instead of mohair, and the alpaca was just so much thicker than the mohair. And I know there are thinner alpaca or Suri alpacas, but somehow I didn't really know about it and I just chose a thicker one. And so as I said, I ended up making the classic rib sweater by Pernille Larsen. I used tin pergint in the color Jolly Blue, and I used the Suri alpaca from Long Yarns. And I knitted the classic rib sweater on a 4mm needle or a US 7. And actually also what might be interesting, the tin pergint was way smoother or less scratchy after blocking. And first I was a little bit worried when I was knitting whether I would be really able to wear it without a long sleeve underneath. But after blocking and after using a wool detergent, it's actually way smoother. So that is not a problem anymore.
Amazing. So my second to last project that I finished is this chunky brioche sweater that I got a pattern out of the book by Vitre Design. I don't know how to say it. Same problem still. It's called the Scandinavian Knit Ideas. It looks like this. It's knitted with like held double. Well, the original isn't knitted held double, but I just held double the Tasmanian tweed in the color 09. I bought it again from this nice yarn shop in the barn. I started this project like so long ago, maybe I think last fall, but because I just kind of thought I'm not good at reading patterns and I was very impatient. I made so many mistakes so that I kept frogging it. And with this podcast and Anita motivating me, actually, I finally finished it. It's very easy to understand the pattern. No, actually, it really is. It's written very clearly. The only thing that I got wrong because I just didn't read up on it was I knitted the arms or the sleeves in rounds first, but you're supposed to just do it flat, and then you kind of make the round here when you do normal stocking knit, and then you sew it together. And yeah, I had to open that again. Just very cozy and like stay-at-home sweater, but at home I wear it often and it's so nice. Like it feels like a hug. So that was a good experience.
You wouldn't wear it outside?
I'm not too sure. I feel like the fit is not perfect for me. Like the size I chose, because it kind of covers my hips and then I tend to look like a square.
Okay.
And I don't like it too much.
Okay.
But it is very cozy and I like the pattern. It's not because of the pattern, it's just really me, actually. The sweater is knitted on an 8mm sized for the cuffs. That's 11 US 11. And the rest of the body is knitted in 9mm, which would be 13 in US. And oh yeah, it's like the first project I ever made a swatch for.
Oh wow!
Or like a gauge, or what it's called. So I was really proud.
Yeah.
On that. So yeah,
that's nice.
Good first project, I think, or like first pattern read.
Good. So I will continue with a beanie I finished. Actually, I will gift it away. It is for a project where people send different like food and utensils and stuff and knitted things to the Eastern Europe. So I knitted this beanie from scrap yarn, actually from Andra. She kindly like offered me to use her scrap yarn. I still have to weave in some ends and block it. But yeah, that's as it is. I'm still not very sure whether I will redo the bind off, because it is just like, it looks a little bit sloppy, but actually when I'm wearing it, when I'm wearing it, it looks quite good, I think. And there is also not like a ton of room. So I'm a little bit worried when I would bind off way tighter, that it would be too tight. And I also have quite a small head, so I'm not really sure whether I really want to redo it. Yeah, but that is something I finished as well.
So the last thing that I've finished this year, or like within the last few weeks or months, was a vest that I started 2 years ago. And back then I really didn't put any thought in how I'm gonna build up a project or how I'm gonna do it. I just had an idea and just wanted to start, and it's exactly how I went on. So I was watching like this series Wednesday, and my little sister, she's 14, she really liked the show, and I thought I want to make her a sweater vest that's kind of inspired by the show, or the vest that Wednesday is wearing. So I just went into the yarn store and bought like the only black and white that I liked, that was like extreme enough, that I found, and it was Lana Gross's Perlé. I don't know the exact colors, but it was like a very thick 100% sheep.
Wool?
Yes. Sheep wool. And then because I didn't know that many like techniques, I just made like, I bought like a plan how to make the panels so I can make a V collar, but then I went on like knitting. I didn't even count the stitches every time, so, or the rows, so that didn't even add up perfectly. It turned out to be way more expensive, and the most thing, it really turned out to be huge, because I think in the show she wears like something that was knitted in Sports at DK, and mine is 100% like bulky. It's huge. And then like I sewed it together, and that was such a tedious work, so I just didn't continue for like 1.5 years.
You procrastinators.
Exactly. But then I also didn't start other projects. Well, I did, but not as freely and liberated as I kind of wanted to.
That's kind of sad.
I know. I know. Thank you. But I like to see that I've grown and I changed. But yeah, that's like how it turned out. But she was so happy when I finally finished it and I blocked it. It turned out to be even huger, but like the drape is nice. She really liked it. I also love that I finished it now, so it's like Halloween time, so she can wear it thinking of the show. So in the end, it turned out very well. I mean, like, she was so happy, so that made it all worthwhile. Yeah,
that's so cute.
Yeah.
So then we will continue with our whips, with our work in progress. We finished with all the finished objects. Yes. So I will talk about the Emery Western Pull. I already spoke about it in our plans videos and already showed the yarn I bought and chosen for the project. So it is the, as I said, Emery Western Pull from Rihii Socks. It is a all cables and all textured slipover. I then decided to, or I was swatching like crazy and didn't really know whether I was able to meet gauge. I ended up knitting the slipover with the 5.5 millimeter needle, or US 9. I think the gauge is still a little bit too small, but I tried to knit it with the 6 millimeter needles, and it was just too holy and wouldn't look nice. So, I mean, so far I think it's quite good, but when I came to join in the round under the underarms, I just noticed that it is a little bit too small. But actually, I also have to say, I mean, obviously it is getting also too short when the gauge isn't correct, but she gives instruction to measure from the shoulder seam, and it was still too short. So I don't know, maybe it is also something about the pattern. It said like knit up to this and this centimeter, and then you can start with the cast-ons under the arms. And I added, I think, 7 rows or so, so it's quite a lot. Now I'm really happy knowing also there is coming a ribbing additional to the slip over. I'm really happy I chose to do it. But maybe it's just, I'm knitting also the extra small, which normally fits me, but maybe it is just a very small, extra small, I don't know. But because I had to frog back because it was too small for me, I was a little bit confused on which row I ended. And now the cables are, like the cabling rows are uneven, which bothered me first a lot. But yeah, I just made like a list, a handwritten list where I can check up. So it's not a problem anymore, but it's just not perfect. And I'm using the Alpaca Wool from Sandnes Garn. And the color, I have to look up. It is 2650, I think. Yeah, it is this. I don't know whether this is grayish or, yeah, it's just a light brown.
So my first whip is this. Oh, actually, okay. So if you're my sister, please jump to the next project. You can see timestamps because, as you know, it's a Christmas gift. I don't want you to see it. As I mentioned, my first whip is a gift for my little sister. We just kind of went through like Pinterest and made a pin wall for all the things she kind of likes right now, which is her now current style that kind of changed. And then got inspired. I know she wanted a Shruggy because she saw one in a store, and I really didn't like how it looked in the store. So I was like, I can do that better for you with yarn that's nicer, and then you have like more things you can say, and you can choose the colors. So she really liked the idea. So that's what we did. And as I mentioned, my first whip is a gift for my little sister. We just kind of went through like Pinterest and made a pin wall for all the things she kind of likes right now, which is her now current style that kind of changed. And then got inspired. I know she wanted a Shruggy because she saw one in a store, and I really didn't like how it looked in the store. So I was like, I can do that better for you with yarn that's nicer, and then you have like more things you can say, and you can choose the colors. So she really liked the idea. So that's what we did, and this is how far along I am. It's just like I just did 2 panels, sewed them together for the top. It's not covering the boobs as Shruggies tend to do. And then I made this bell arm that I actually really love.
Yeah, it's so nice.
I really used the opportunity to learn new laces and patterns, which was so much fun. It's also so much fun to work with different colors and, you know, just like
yarns.
Yeah, different yarns.
Weights, yeah.
Just like the sensation of having the fuzzy yarn and then the very soft one. So I'm really looking forward to continue the second sleeve. And then I also thought of, just so to make it more foresty, which you like, I just kind of want to chain stitch a few like things to just hang down and maybe put some little chains on it, or charms, I mean, chains, charms. So yeah, just so it feels nice. And I bought actually quite good yarn, and I don't want to waste it. So with the leftover yarn, I maybe make something else for her, like a hat or the things you pull up to cover your ankles. I don't remember what it's called, but yeah, that's the idea, and I just really love it.
Nice. Will you do the second sleeve like the same, or will you do it different?
That's such a good question. I think because probably yes. I like the idea to not do it this way, but I don't trust that it will be the same size if I change the yarns, you know.
Yeah.
So I want it to fall even, because I think otherwise it's kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm gonna do something similar for me another time, just to use up scrap yarns, and then maybe I'm not gonna do it the same way. So that's a good inspiration. Thank you. Yeah, that's it for that one.
I actually tried, or I am currently working at a mini scarf I am trying to freehand. I just want to use the scrap yarn or the leftover yarn from my classic rib sweater. So I thought maybe it would be nice to have this electric blue mini scarf. I really had a lot of start overs because I somehow thought I had to do more increases. But yeah, I think now I'm doing increases every 11th row. But I'm still not sure. And from here, I just am knitting straight now. But I don't know whether it is too narrow like this. Yeah, I'm not very sure about it. And I needed the, what is it called? The cable, which I was knitting with. So now it's just hanging free. I don't know. Feels a little bit illegal, but yeah, it's just sitting like this in my whip basket and waiting for me to make my decisions on it. Yeah. On every row, I have two like edge stitches, and then I just do garter stitch in between, and then again two edge stitches, which are like they should be like an I-cord edge. I just looked it up on YouTube how to do that, and yeah, it's quite cool.
That's really nice. Because I was so excited when we made this fall planning video last time to start all the projects at once. I kind of did. I started two at once. So the first one was actually the first one I mentioned back then. It's the Keep It Warm sweater by Yeonhwa Lee. It's, as I mentioned back then, the first sweater or like cable sweater that I did with a pattern, and I have to say she really describes the things so good, so well. Like it's so easy to understand. She really holds your hand going through the pattern. I just felt very good hands doing that. And I had to look up a few things, like wrap and turn was a new thing I learned, and the different kind of increases. I don't remember how I knew how to do the raglan stitches when I did the sweater, the first sweater that I wore today last year when I did it or made it, because I had to look them up again. But yeah, that was so much fun. It's so much fun to knit it. I ran out of the mohair, but I'm gonna buy it next week. I ordered it. Can't wait to keep continuing it. I really love just the color and the whole pattern and how it feels. It's so nice. I forgot to mention yarn for the Keep It Warm sweater. It's a tweed mohair by Lana Grossa.
Ah, yes.
In dark blue, and also the Cool Wool, also by Lana Grossa. And color, I think, was dark blue. So, and the other thing that I started and mentioned last week in the last episode is the Holmen Slipover. This one is worked from bottom up, which is not my favorite, I have to admit, because it's just, I don't think I like the length it will have in the end. And so hard to, or I find really hard to estimate how it looks on me, even if I shorten it, like in the middle of it by like knitting it up. So, but I kind of told myself to not just do something and just like stick to the pattern, because I feel like so often when I do something, I'm not sticking to the pattern and then it doesn't work out. So yeah, I have like the back already, and now I'm like,
you're so far.
It's just,
can't believe.
I don't know if anyone else have that, but it's so easy to stay motivated if you have like cables and laces, because it's just like every row is so interesting to do. So that's what I do. Also made a lot of mistakes, kept unraveling it, because I can't live with a mistake in the cable pattern. It's just so unnerving for me. So it's also in the same yarn that I made or I knitted the chunky brioche sweater with, the Tasmanian tweed, color 09. But this time I held it single and not double, and it's knitted on a 5mm 8 US. The swatch just fitted perfectly, which was
wow, that's so nice.
It's so was sort of so satisfying when that happened. Yeah. And again, she explains things very easily as well. The chart is easy to read. It's a very good like project to start reading patterns for cables as well. That's the second one. Hopefully it's going to be finished by the next video we're going to
make. Yeah, that would be nice. So I will continue then with a plan. It's not yet a whip, but I hope very soon. And it is the Elisabeth Blouse by petiteknit. I bought the yarn now. Our local yarn shop was like closed because of the holidays. And we actually recorded this knitting podcast a week later because I really badly wanted to show the yarn here. I already made a swatch and used the 4.5 millimeter needle or US 7. I had to size up to meet gauge, which is not surprising. I'm quite a tight knitter. I now decided to use the Cool Wool Fine from Lana Grossa in the color 27. And yeah, I'm really happy with it now. I'm holding it double to meet gauge. First, I was a little bit disappointed because I somehow thought I remember how I was in the shop and saw like a more silkier version and a thicker yarn and just with the perfect petrol color. And I don't know whether this memory just changed in my head to a like the most beautiful yarn ever. And then when I went there, it wasn't there anymore, or as I said, like my memory changed, I don't know. And so I had a hard time just like letting go of it and choosing something different. But then I just bought one bowl and went home for swatching. And the next day I was able to buy all of the yarn. And actually altogether, I didn't spend 50 francs even.
No way.
Yeah, and I'm really happy with that I'm not spending too much money on it. And I want to finish my other hat I will talk about later before I allow myself to cast this on. And I'm patient.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes, so while we record this podcast or this episode, we both were knitting. And the thing I was knitting on was like the socks that I mentioned in our planning videos. It's like supposed to be a gift knit for a friend of mine. And last time I mentioned the colors I'm going to use was like autumn, peach, and plum clay. Yeah, by Knitting for Olive. And now it's one of those colors I'm using right now because I decided that I want like an actual sock yarn for the foot because so I chose this really, really nice llama, kind of like natural white. And it's so insanely soft. Nice. It's so nice to touch. And then for the brown, because the autumn looked so orange and that really doesn't suit our friend, I think.
Yeah.
And also didn't suit the pattern. I chose the dark cognac, which turns out to be such a pretty kind of cold brown.
Yeah.
It's so much more warmer on the website than it is actually.
Yeah.
I hope you can see it. Like this is the dark cognac.
On the website, it looks so orange. And I would have never bought the yarn because I really like orange, yellow colors don't suit me. But as I saw it, I would buy that. It's such a beautiful brown.
Yeah, I really love it too. Like I'm probably gonna do something else in this color. And the gray I just had in my stash. I really don't know what it is. The pattern is Rihii Socks. I'm gonna buy the pattern just to credit her, but I don't want to read the pattern again. So I just kind of copied the color work on my charter or Chartminder.
I love your logic.
I know, but I can't read more. I don't want to. Yeah, I hope it's not going to be too tight. I'm really excited to.
I think it's okay. You're doing very great.
Thank you.
I once started colorwork socks and they were just like so tight.
Really?
So I frocked them.
Oh yeah, I remember. I know which one you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I hope she likes it. But the good thing is she doesn't watch that podcast. So no trouble there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I will talk about my beanie I'm working on. It's also for the same project I talked about earlier, where they gift to the people from Eastern Europe. And I actually started at the top, also with the other beanie. I'm sorry I didn't mention that. As I used scrap yarn from Andra, I didn't really know how much yarn I would need, or I thought when I start at the top, it would be easier to just bind off when I run out of yarn. So I used Judy's Magic Cast On, I think it's called, which just, I think does quite a good job. Like, it creates these tips on the side. I don't know whether that's my fault, whether I just don't do it right, or whether that's the cast on. I hope it also blocks out a little bit. And I'm just making these stripes, and then I'm working on the ribbing right now. I just freehanded it. Yeah.
I think it looks so pretty, like the combination of the yarn.
Yeah, it's fun. I like it. And I just did a mistake while recording this. I just did the third stripe of the last blue, but doesn't matter. It probably will be on the inside, so I can live with it.
Nice.
And I hope the person can who receive it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That is all we were going to talk about today.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us for this episode. I hope you liked it, and it's so much fun to do those, actually.
Yes.
So yeah.
And we're also happy when you have grace with us. We're still very new and I think it's still a little bit chaotic, but thanks so much for joining us, and we would love to hear what you were knitting.
Oh yeah, that was so much fun reading all those comments and inspirations. So thank you for those. We're looking forward to read more of them and hear from you guys. Where you're from. Yeah, that's just so interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. So then we wish you a good evening or whenever you're watching this, and see you soon.
Yes, see you.
Bye.
Bye. Should I explain? Well, first I knitted up until the start of the thumb. Then I started like in rounds, and then I started to knit it flat and then connect it again at the top of the thumbs. And then I first, because the little finger is lower than all the others, this was the first thing I did. So I had like 4 stitches, and then on the other side 4 stitches, and picked up 5 stitches here and just knitted up until it's finished. And then I did 2 rounds extra, so because those fingers are on the same height. Yeah. And then again, like knitted 4 and 4, and well, I picked up these 5 stitches again. Yes. Did 4 and the front, 4 on the back.
Did you pick up here, like at this, like at the pink finger?
Yeah.
Or did you?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Or
like cast on 5 and then sew it, or?
No, I just picked it up because there was like a hole kind of. So I just picked it up so it would be less. Nice. But I cast an extra one on, or like did a loop more one here, and it's the same for here, like 4 on the back, 4 on the front, pick up 5, did 1 loop, and because it was like in total 16 stitches on each side, it just turned out to work, I think.
Wow. Yeah.